Hey, what's up everybody? So welcome back to another tutorial. So in this video, I'm going to explain that how we can filter with the help of checkboxes in Angular. So I've created this video all from the scratch. So let's jump first the demo, right? So on the left, you see here we have the products, which includes laptop, mobile, sports, and vehicles, which are all coming from the database. And we have created that API with the help of Laravel, which I have given in the very first part of the video. So if you have any prerequisite required, you can simply watch that video, or you can simply get the repo from the GitHub, right? So I want to give that link in the description, right? So let's jump in and go for the demo. So if I just select laptop here, so as you could see on base of the categories, you see that I can apply the filter. So as you could see here, we have products, which includes Lenovo ThinkPad and Mac Mini with the price, right? Once you click on the more detail, this is going to put you to the detail screen, which I want to do in the third part of this video. So as long as I can filter more products, so you could see that it can add more products on the screen. It can display the list of different cards on base of the category that we have choose. So if I just unclick the sports, so as you could see that on sports we have hockey and American baseball. So if I click apply filter, as you could see now the two cards removed, all right? So that's what I'm going to build in this video. So I hope you guys will like. So let's jump in and get started for this video. All right, guys. So the first thing that you need to do, make sure your Angular should be installed. So getting started here, and you need to go to the setup installation for the Angular. So if you're a very beginner and you have followed for the first time, so I have a ton of videos on my channel where you can work on the crash course, where you have the filter products, and there are many other tutorials related to that, the CRUD operation. So I want to give all those links in the description. So if you're a very beginner and want to learn things in a way that really needs to be, so it's all there, right? So you can easily do that, right? So let's first install the Angular project. So I'm going to do is the npm install -g command for installing the Angular CLI. I'm going to install Angular with the CLI, and make sure you have your Node.js installed on your system. So right now the newest version requires this latest version, which is 16.14.2 LTS, and I hope that you can either install the current version. It's all up to you, right? So let's go back here, and I'm on my desktop screen. So I'm going to click on the git bash here, and I'm going to install the very fresh copy of the Angular project, right? So let me just simply paste that npm install -g, and this is going to install the Angular globally for us. So I want to take a short break, and I will be right back once it's installed. All right, guys, so now it's installed. So let me create a ng new, and let's give it the name of checkbox _filter _app, and whatever you name it. So it's all up to you. So just give it the name, and this is going to install the project for us, the Angular, right? All right, so this is going to take some time, and I will be right back once it's installed. All right, guys, so now it's been installed properly. So let me cd into checkbox _filter _app, and I'm going to open up with the VS Code. So simply press code space dot, and it's going to open up our project inside the VS Code, right? So make sure you have two things open already, which in my case I have already. So I have my API project that we have built in the very first part one. So make sure your server should be running. So all you need to do is simply run php artisan serve, and this is going to run the server for us. So you can test that API by using Postman. So as I have explained the first part, we have used Postman already, one of the API that I already tested. So I have my products in, as you could see. If I just try to send the response, so you could see here we have the products listed here, and for the filter _product, where we have selected category, on based of the selected categories we are able to filter the results, as long as I could add the product ID 3, so we are able to fetch more results, right? So I want to preview with the help of Json, and if I just try to send the response, as you could see, yeah, all right, so that's the response. All right, so I also have the repository for you guys, so you simply clone that and you can run the API. You need to know stuff here, and you can insert the data in database, which in my case I already have some dummy data. You can add the dynamic data depending on your requirements. So that's all up to you, right? All right, so let me go back to the VS Code and make sure your PHP artisan serve, which I already have run my application. So let me run the Angular server. So let me go to the terminal, new terminal, and run the application with the help of ng serve, and this is going to run the application on port number 4200, right? So I don't need any analytics. It all up to you whether you can apply no or yes. So in my case, I just simply need no analytics for that, right? Alright guys, so now the application is run successfully, and I'm gonna go with a very basic structure. So we have a source app folder where we have all our components in. Next we have the index.html file. As you could see, this app-root selector, which is basically which help us to load the DOM, and this is with the help of that we are able to see the single page application. Next we have our app.module.ts file where all the modules, where all the components are there, and we can simply import that inside those arrays. So declaration is for where we have all the components in. Next we have our imports where we have browser module, we have forms module, we have HTTP client module. So I'm going to use in a while, so you must understand all those concepts. So next we have our app component, which we have here inside the declarations where we have all the components in, and then we have bootstrap that, right? So next we have our package.json file where we have all the dependencies in, so you can see that, and all the dev dependencies are there, like TypeScript. That's what we have used. So every single file should have the TS extension, which include the TypeScript, right? So that's what we have, a very basic structure. If you want to learn more, you can watch my video on the crash course where you can understand the whole structure of the application. So I'm going to create here two components. So the first component, which is the app.component.html, and right inside that I'm going to create another one. So I'm going to go to my PowerShell here, and let me create a component with the name of ng, for generate, c for component, and let's give it the name of product-filter. So that automatically create the for file for it right inside the app folder. So I could see here inside the product-filter, as you could see, we have a product-filter.component.html file, and so my server should be running. So let's have a look and see how it's if it's worked successfully. So let me go to the localhost port number 4200, and there we are, right? So we have our Angular application installed and running on the server, right? So next thing I'm going to do here is, so let me remove everything from the app.component.html file, and I don't need any kind of stuff. So we need here another component which is for the detail page. So I'm going to create another one. Just the difference is that should be product-filter, product-detail-filter. Alright, so now we have our two components in. The first one is for the product filter, and next we have the detail filter, right? So I'm going to create here route first, because we have two different pages, so we need some screens to route to the main screen and the detail screen. So there is one thing that I need to do. So right inside the app.component.html file, I need to have my router-outlet in, and this will help us to route the page navigation, right? So we can route from one page to the another. So for this, I need to have my route inside the app.module.ts file. That's where we have all our imports in. As you could see here, after creating two components, they are loaded automatically right inside the declarations. And now we have to create a separate module, which is the app router module, right? So for that, all I need here is, let me go to right after the component. I'm going to define here the import. And let's give it the right inside that I'm going to define here router module, and this is going to automatically generate for us. So, and I also need the routes, right? So right after that, I need to create here a variable with the name of routes, and that should pass the routes in equal to that. And now I have to pass to my path and the component. So for the path here, for the root path, it should be blank, and next we have our component in. So here I'm going to pass my very first component, which is the product filter component, and next we have our another path that I need for my detail page. So let's give it the name of product-detail for now, and next we have to pass the dynamic ID just like that, which in my case I'm going to do in the next part of this video. So I just want to keep it very simple so you guys could understand how we can navigate, right? So that should be our product detail component. So first we have to pass the component here, And there we are. So product detail filter component, right? So that's all for now. And now I have to define the route inside my, that should be in your imports, right? So right after the browser module, I need to define here router module dot for route, and let's pass in the routes here. All right, so that's all for now, right? So let me go back to my browser, and as you can see now, it's showing me the product filter works. And now if I just try to route the product dash detail screen, and there we are. So you could see here, now we have our product detail filter screen. So first thing first, we have to first go for the very basic UI that I have created. So all you need to do is to first go to the boot swatch, and that's a very handful UI I'm gonna get from the Cyborg. That's the theme that I'm gonna get from here. So all you need, just click on here and press Control U and just grab this this CDN from here. So I'm gonna grab the CDN and let's put that inside your that should be inside your index.html file. All right, so right after the link of this, I'm gonna create here link and pass the href, right? So if I go back and see, and to the application from there, it's loaded, right? So it should be now in black color, because with the help of this theme is black, so that shows that now our bootstrap CDN is working properly, right? All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do here is let's go inside your product-filter.component.html and generate our own HTML, right? So I'm going to create here a container that should have the margin top 4, right? So we have a margin from the top. Let's create the row here, and right inside the row we have our call-md-3. So these are all the grids, and I need some margin auto. And we have our margin top 4. Right after that we have a list group, and that should be list dash group. And right inside list group we have our h4 heading products, where we have to display all the products that are listed. Next we have our right after that we have our list dash group dash item, and right here, right inside that, I'm going to pass here the label, and I don't need any for. And right inside the label, I should have my input type of checkbox. That's for the filtering, right? I don't need any name here, no any ID. Later on, might need the ID, where we have to dynamically get the ID of an individual product, which I'm going to do little after that. First, we work with the UI. So let's give it the class of form dash check dash input. Actually, that should be inside the class, right? All right, so we have this after the label, and after these two divs, after the list dash group, I'm gonna create here a button, and that should have the class of bdn dash light. And let's give it, actually I keep doing this, you should add this inside your class. So bdn dash light, and let's give it the margin top to be 4. And I'm gonna give it the name here, apply filter. All right, so right after that div of this closing div for your call-md-3, I'm going to create here another column. So call-md dash 9. All right, so right inside that, I'm going to define my row here, and inside row I have another call-sm-4. So I'm going to create all those grids for the smaller screen, for the medium screen, and the larger. So call-lg-4, and I also want for my medium screen, so it should be md-4 for the medium. And the last thing, which is for the margin bottom 4. So right after that, I'm going to create a card-border, and inside card, this should be card, and we have a class for the border dash primary, and let's give it the height of h-100. All right, so right inside here we have a card header, And let's give it the title of BMW for now, and later on we can display our dynamic result. So right after this card header, we have our card dash body. So right after here we have a pricing. So let's give it the label span tag here. This should be span. And right inside the span tag we have a class of text dash primary. And let's pass here the price. So let's give it $12 or something. So we have our price in span tag. Right after this card dash body, I'm going to have my router. So this should have the class of BDN dash primary. I don't know why I keep doing this. So BDN dash, that should be primary, and make this smaller dash SM and give it the more detail. All right. So I think so that's all we need, right? So let's go back and see how our UI looks like. So exactly that I wanted, right? So if I hover on it, you could see more details are appearing, and you can change whatever you want. So BDN dash primary is the color that we have. All right. So I don't know. I just want to have some name here for the label. So let me go to here and let's give it here vehicle, for example. All right, so this looks like this, right? So we have done our UI part here in this section. So right after this section, I'm going to take a very short break, and then we are going to work and loop all the products. All right, guys, so let's go and work with the products. And you see here we have the static data. On the left, we have the product listing, which we have to show and fetch the data from the API. On the right, we have the cards with having the details with the title and the price, right? And the next part, we're going to click on the more detail, and this is going to reach and take us to the detail page, right? So let's move and work with the data, right, from the API. So as you could see from the Postman, if I click and having that URL, we are able to fetch the products. We have the ID and the product name, which is coming from here. So all I need is just grab this URL. I'm going to work with the environments, where I'm going to add the environmental variable with having that URL and work with that. So if I'm going to go inside my source folder, app folder, where we have all our components in, and we have the product filter, and we have the HTML, every HTML goes inside here, and we have the TypeScript file where we have the logic. All right, so the first thing first, we have to go inside the environments variable, and let's set the environment. So I'm going to go inside my environment.ts file, and right after that, I'm going to define here the API URL. So let's create here API URL, and let's paste this all. And it should be inside the single quotes, and I'm going to remove this all from here because that's the basic URL that we need, right? So this is the API URL that has been set, and now let's create a service. So service is basically helps to share the data across multiple components. So we have the business logic model, all we can share across different components. So let's create a service here. So I'm going to click on plus, and this is going to open up another terminal for me. So let's generate the service with the help of UCLI and NG for Angular, G for generate, CS for service, and let's create here a folder with the name of service. Inside the file name of the service should be data, right? So this is going to generate two files for us, having the folder service. So as you could see inside, we have a service folder, and this is going to give us the testing file, the specs.ts file, and the data.service.ts where we have the class loaded up here, right? So right inside here, we have to bring our HTTP client module, which help us to fetch the data. So with the help of HTTP, we are able to fetch the data from the API, right? So let's gonna bring up here the HTTP client module. So it should be right inside the service, should be HTTP client, and that's all coming from the Angular. So let's bring up the Angular /common and /HTTP. All right, so that's all we need. So right inside the constructor, we have to bring our HTTP. So I'm going to create a private variable, and let's bring up the HTTP, and let's give it the name of HTTP client. And I also need to have my array in. So later on we're going to fetch that, right? We don't need array for this purpose. So let's create a method here with the name of get products, and right inside that I'm gonna define my HTTP. So return this dot HTTP, which is coming from the HTTP client, and we have a type of the request should be GET request, and then right inside that I'm gonna bring up something which is known as environment. As you could see here, we have set up the environment right inside the environments folder. So we have to bring up our environments in, and we have to pass here API URL, and let's concatenate that and bring that inside the backticks. So /product. So we have the URL. I'm going to show you right inside the Postman. So you could see here we just need only /product because the rest is all coming from the environments. All right, so let's jump in here, and that's the get product. So this is not going to work directly. So we have to bring something, as I explained, HTTP client module right inside our app.module.ts file. So I'm going to go inside that. And right here, I have to define my HTTP client module. So let me go right after the browser module and define our service here. So import, that should be HTTP client module. And let's bring, that's coming from the Angular common HTTP. And I need to bring this inside the import. So all modules are coming inside the imports array, right? So this should be HTTP client module. All right, so that's it. So let me go inside my data.component.ts file. So this is the file where we are gonna get the service in and define that. Right, so I'm gonna do here a few things here. The first thing that I need here is to define my service, right? So let's gonna go under the down to the component, and let's define our service here. So we have a data service in, right? So it's automatically imported. Just need to bring this in, and with the help of extension for the Angular that I install, so this is going to bring up you the automatically imports. So right inside the constructor, I need to define my service. So all I need here, right here in the constructor, I need to define the private data service. Let's give it the name of data service and put here colon, and that should be and make this equal to the data service, right? So right after that, right after the ng-on-init method, we have to define here a method get products, and we have to get from the service. So this dot data service, remember that we have created the method get products, and right after that we have to subscribe it. So we have to subscribe the response coming from the HTTP. So let's define here, and right inside that I'm going to bring up some variable where I have all the data from the API. So let's bring up right after the right before the constructor. So let's create here data of type any. Any means that it could be of any type, and let's give it the array, right? So it could be have a collection of data. So let's bring up here this dot data, and that should be equal to the response in. And in order to fetch that, we have to bring this in inside the ng-on-init method. So this dot get products, and if I just want to console the log in order to check this out, so this dot data, and let's go back and check this out. Everything works well, right? So let me go back and inspect element in order to fetch and see the data is coming in. So if I go and click on the object, as you could see, we have the product loaded successfully, and we have our products in, right? So we have laptop, mobile, sport, vehicle. So we have all 4 products coming. So let's bring this in inside our products list group item. So I need to go back to the HTML file, and that's where we have to bring this in. So we have something which is known as the actually this should be there, right? So we have to bring up something which is known as the ng for directive. So this directive will help us to loop the data. So as you could see, if I'm going to show you the response, so we have an object where we have the products object, and right inside the products we have the data coming in, right? So all I need here is, let's go right under the list group item and bring up here ng for directive. So this is just like a for loop here, right? So let's define a variable with the name of product of, and the data that is coming in inside this array, so which is the data. So let's give it the data, and we have our products in. So this product should be coming from the, as you could see, the object that I've shown you, right, real quick here. So that's the products in, right? That's what we have to bring up inside the data, and rather we should have the static data in here. We have to bring this in inside the product in the string interpolation, which is the double parenthesis. So product dot and the name of the object in my case is product underscore name, right? That's all we need to display here, right? So if I go back to my browser and you see here we have all our product listed here, right? So that's how we can fetch the data from the service and pass the logic to the component and loop it through the HTML file. And as you could see now, we are able to see all the product, right? Now the next thing that I'm going to do here is we have to list the product on base of the checked item. Means that if I have that mobile checked, then we have to display the result on base of that category and rest of all for all the products. So if I click all of 4, this is going to show us all. If I just deselect or uncheck one of these, so it's going to hide the data. Data is not going to show with the help of apply filter, right? So let's create this function where when I check this, this is going to give me the ID of this product. So let's go and write a function for this. So I'm going to go inside my VS Code and write inside my input type of checkbox where I'm clicking where I click my checkbox. So I need to here have a directive, the binding for the change, and whenever there is a change in, so it's gonna call this function. So I'm gonna give this method name filter product. So when we have brackets, round brackets, so this gonna means that this is the output binding, and when I means this, so this means that it's the input binding, right? So let's gonna bring up the ID with the help of directive in. So I'm gonna pass here ID equal to, and let's give it the product.id. So this is gonna get the ID from here, right? So right inside the checkbox, I'm gonna define this method right after the get product. So let's define that, and we have an event coming from here, so we can access the DOM property. So I'm gonna define this dollar event right inside here. All right, so if there is a change, I need to have an method call, so we are able to get the target event for the checked, right? For the checked means if that is checked, right? So let's bring up here the event, and right inside this method, I'm going to define here the condition, if condition, and if the event dot target dot checked. So let me console the log and show the message that it's checked, right? So I'm gonna go back to my and inspect this out and console it. So if I click on here, as you could see now, the event showing me is that it's checked, right? So let me go back, and now we are able to get the ID very easily. And I'm going to show you the basics that what I'm going to do. So once I check all those, I need to push that into the array. So we have a method where with the name of the push, so we are able to push those IDs inside the array. So I'm going to define an array on top, just like we define the data on top of it. So we have a selected, and just give it the name of select underscore categories, and with the type any. All right, so this should be select underscore categories, and right inside that, whenever we check this, we have to push those IDs inside the array. So we have to define this dot selected categories dot push method. So this will help us to add the data inside the array, right? The IDs that I need. So in order to get the ID, all I need is just simply do event dot target dot ID, right? So on the other case, if I just if I click back again, now it's gonna empty the ID. So in order to do it, so we have to first get the ID with the help of event dot target dot ID, and right after that, I'm gonna loop the data. So let data of the data that is inside our array, which you could see here, we have the data now inside the select underscore categories. Now in order to delete that, all I need to do, if that data that I need to delete is equal to the ID that is inside the array, so we have two methods. First, we have to get the index of the method. We have a method with the name of supplies, which will help us to delete the data from the array. So first we need to find the index of the element, index of that array element that we need to delete. So this dot select underscore categories dot index of method, right? So this method will help us to find the index of the data. So remember, the data which is inside the array, so suppose if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside the array, now I need to delete the very first ID, the first index. So this index of method will find the index from the array, and next we have to delete it. So as I explained, we have to delete inside the array for the select underscore category. So we have a method with the name of splice, and we have to delete it from the index and delete only one element, right? That's all we need. Now let's gonna see and check what happens. So if I just simply console.log and check the index, and this will only work once I want to delete. So if I just go back and let's suppose if I add those elements, and I think I need to also I need to do one more thing here, that if I want to work with this and show you the deleted items, so I need to call the method of apply filter. So let's go and write the method inside the apply filter. So I'm going to go right inside the button here and define the method here. So let's give it the click event and give it the name of get filter data. All right, so just pass this method and create this method right inside above the filter products. All right, so right inside this method, I'm going to show you what's happened now. Now, what I'm going to do here is let's parse the array first. So I think this is not necessary, but it's always be a good approach that if that is coming in the form of if it's coming in the form of string, so in order to convert that into the integer, so we have a parsing method. So all the data is coming inside the map method. So I'm going to pass here str for the and give it the type any. So str means it's string, right? And let me pass that inside the method. All right, so we give it the string of type any, and in order to convert that integer, so we have a method with the name of parse in, and let's pass the str in. Now, as you could see, the body, which you could see, we have to pass this body inside the data service. So if I'm going to show you real quick the postman, and that should be the filter underscore product. So you see here we have a body selected underscore categories, and we have the data coming inside the array, which in my case is select underscore category. So this is selected underscore category, which is the body. So in order to pass the body, all I need is the data. Let's create the variable with the name of data and bring up the parentheses in, and that should be the body that is coming from the postman request, and that should be equal to the whatever we pass in, right? So that should be parse. All right. So remember that all the data which is parsed now, it should be inside the selected underscore category, which is the request, right? And right after that, we have to define the service. But before we should define the service, all I need is, let's go back to the data.service.ts file, and let's define our service here. So it should be get filter products, and as I explained that it should have the body in, so data of type any. Let's bring this in. So this dot, it should return it, right? So this dot and http dot post, this should be the post request, remember, and we have to bring up environments in. So environment dot API URL, and let's concatenate that and bring this in inside the backticks. So it should be slash products. So I'm going to show you real quick from where this is coming from. So this should be slash products slash multiple fetch multiple products. So I'm going to grab this from here and paste it all here, right? Now this should expect the body. So in order to pass the body, so just bring this data. Now this data should be coming from the response that we are coming in. So let's go inside our product-filter.component.ts file, and right inside that I'm going to define here the service. So this dot data service dot get filtered products, the data that we are passing to the service. So this should be data. Then we have to subscribe the response. So let's bring this in, and response, and right inside that I'm going to bring up this dot. Let's define here the filter data. So let's give it the filter underscore data of type any. All right, so right here, I'm going to define this dot filter underscore data, and that should be equal to the response. All right, so I believe that we have almost done. So let's go back and check this out. So if I click on the vehicle spots and apply filter, and actually we are getting nothing just because we are, so we have get filter the data, and let me console the log and check if that is coming inside the data or not. So I need to console the log, and I also want to check it's clicked. Right, so let's go back here, and if I just try to click sports vehicle and it's clicked here, and yeah, we are able to get the two elements, right? You see here, so inside the map method we have the array 3 and 4, right? So now this has been parsed within the integer. All right, so if I add all of those, apply filter, now you see the selected categories are 4. Now if I just unselect the fourth one and click here, now we have third one, right? So it's all working very nice, right? So remember, we don't have the vehicles with the ID 4 inside the selected underscore categories. That's a benefit of the splice method. All right, so let's go back here and go inside filter dash product dash filter component.ts file, and that's where we have to loop our data. So let me go right down here inside my, I need to loop that data inside my call. Let's loop the data here. So pointer ng far equal to let data of, and the name of the variable that we have is filter underscore data. So let's define up here filter underscore data. And now regardless of BMW, I need to have here inside the string interpolation, we have our data dot title, and the price, for the price we have our inside the string interpolation, let's define the data dot price, all that we need, right? So let's have a look and see. If I go back here, nothing shows up here, and if I check two of them, and you see now we are actually able to filter the product. So if I click sports and vehicles, both of them, and check all of those, so you see now we are able to filter all the records. So if I unselect two of them and apply the filter, and you see now we are left with 2, and now if I unselect all of them, and you see nothing appears here, right? So we're able to fetch and filter all the records. So I hope you guys love. So don't forget to like and subscribe this highly. This video took me the code, the way I write this all for you guys for free. So please don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. I want to see you in the next part.